We're Slick Rock Productions, and right now there's a ton of buzz on the internet centered around portals. So we're going to cue up Kurt here, because I know he has some things to say.
Always. I'm an expert about everything. Just ask me. So we've been getting a lot of questions lately online. There's a lot of buzz going on. High Lifter released a dual idler portal a little while back. So we've been getting a whole bunch of questions on this. And first off, I want to start out by saying we don't have any beef with High Lifter. We have tried multiple times to do business with High Lifter, and we've never got any traction with them. Whether or not it's because they think we're too far in bed with SuperATV, I don't know. For all you guys out there who follow us, you guys know that we do independent stuff. We're not in bed with anybody. We do business with literally just tons of companies out there. But be that as it may, it's like we've always wanted to run portals toe to toe together to see which one was better, and we've never been able to do that. Right. So I don't really want to talk about High Lifter through this. Like I said, we don't have any beef with them. We just don't have a whole lot of knowledge. We've had a few buddies that have ran High Lifter portals. We have a little bit of experience in that world, but it's one-sided. So for that matter, we're going to let that go and talk about what we do know. So the thing that we do a lot of business with SuperATV, but we do it for a reason. Number one, they're the biggest UTV company in the world, and they sell a lot of parts. They make a lot of parts, and so like we got involved with these guys a lot of years ago, and 5 or 6 years ago, we weren't real big fans of SuperATV. We ran some of their parts, but
They had very select things that we would run at the time.
Yeah, and it's like we weren't running a broad array of their stuff, but we sat down with the owners, with their engineers, and over the years, we've had a really good relationship with them. But the thing that is the relationship we have with SuperATV is like we go in there, we go out there quite a few times a year, we sit down, we talk to their engineers, we talk to the owners, and they take the day with us, and they will sit down, and it's the same every time. We sit down in there, they pull out their notepads and their pens, and they ask us questions, and they listen to us. And when we're having a problem with something or we have an idea about something, they go to work on it. And it's like our feedback to them is important, and because of that, we have a lot of respect for them. They've changed a lot of parts on our behalf, and it's like they just do a really good job. And so the things that have changed with these guys over the years, I mean, the materials, their warranty, the R&D that goes into it, they take the time and they do the due diligence, so we know what we're getting when we're getting parts, and then for that, we feel comfortable in recommending parts. Every company that we do business with, we like to do the research, we like to run their parts, we like to have an intimate knowledge about them, but not just the parts, about the company, the warranty, and everything. And like I said, this is probably a little redundant for you guys who follow Slick Rock, but be that as it may, we've never got any traction with High Lifter, and so this is a kind of a one-sided argument when it comes to comparing the portals, because that's the questions we've been getting. Which one is better? Well, all I know is what we have experience with. And so, 99% of the portals out there are GDP portals. And so, we run GDP portals. We have for a lot of years. I would argue we run more portals than anybody on the planet. We've probably built more cars than anybody on the planet. And we're extremely abusive to portals. And so, a couple years ago, we had a conversation with SuperATV and their engineers about dual idlers. And they were already working on it at the time, and I can't remember specifically because it was a couple years ago, and we didn't call and verify before this video. But I want to say it was like 8% stronger with a dual idler.
That's what we both remember. It was 8%.
And so I remember us having a conversation about whether it was worth it or not. Is it worth changing the design and taking the risk over 8%? And to us at the time, it was no, because we weren't having those failures. And so bear in mind, this is long before the Gen 3s. The Gen 1s, we had some leak problems. People were breaking shafts in them. We didn't. But the Gen 2s, they did some good upgrades to it. But the 3s, they really did a lot of research. And like we had a lot of conversations on those 3s going back and forth. But the seals, the bearings, everything about the 3s was just so much better. And we've been running 3s for a long time. We have a ton of cars with 3s on them. We don't have any problems. So as this dual idler thing has progressed, we didn't really care so much a couple years ago, but they've stayed on track with that going through. And then a few months ago, we were out having a meeting with them, and the dual idler is coming out. And when we were talking to the engineers, the really important thing, the struggle with it was the meshing. If the meshing isn't perfect, it isn't displaying the load or distributing the load properly. And so I guess my point of this is when you can't just throw dual idlers into a portal. It just doesn't work that way. It needs to be precise. It needs to be precision in order for it to work. And this is where I have faith in SuperATV, because this has been going on for a long time. And so we know that when we get dual either portals, we know what we're going to get because the research and development was done. And so I don't know that on the other side of that, and so I can't really speak for them. I wish we could, but for all you guys out there that are messages and asking us, all I can tell you about is what we know and what we've done research on and what we've ran. And so if I was in the market right now to buy portals, would I buy a dual either portal? Yeah, I probably would. Mm-hmm. If I have Gen 3s on my car right now, would I take them off to put a dual either on there? Personally, I would not.
I don't think I would.
I don't. But it also has to do a little bit more with application. So it's like, we're mountain guys, we're rock crawlers. Literally, most of our cars are purpose built. But we have Rangers that are highway cars, and we have purpose built vehicles that are not rock crawlers. And our vehicles all travel on the highways frequently. We go in between trails a lot. And if you're running a 15% reduction or a 30% reduction, there's a lot more RPM in there. And so for me, when I think about that, the argument we had a long time ago was whether it was worth it to add another bearing and add another gear to it. So currently they have
the
three.
concept of the more parts, the more likely to fail.
Exactly. It's like they have 3 bearings in them, 3 gears in them currently. Do we want to add another one knowing that the bearings are the fail point in a portal? Mm-hmm. And so, like we had this discussion a long time ago. To us, it wasn't really worth it. But as all the chatter's going on, all the talk's going on, it's like I've been watching a whole bunch of these pages and just kind of been sitting back quietly reading everybody's comments. And it's like the 2 is better than 1 argument. There's a guy that I saw yesterday, and he said, if you were hanging on a cliff, would you want to have 1 arm holding on or 2? Well, I can use that same logic the other way. Would you rather have 1 broken arm or 2 broken arms? I mean, it doesn't really, 2 isn't always better than 1. And so for me, it's more of an application thing. So for a high-speed car or something you're going to run a smaller, gear reduction in, something like these cars, would I want a dual either? I'm going to run them, you know what I mean? But would I run out and buy one? I probably wouldn't. Right. But for our big tire cars and for the South guys and the mud guys, if you're going to run a 44 to 52 inch tire, would I want a dual either? Yeah, I would. But I'd also want to buy a dual either that I know has got the research and development and it works right. Yeah. And so here's the thing about SuperATV that really stands out to me. They lifetime warranty their parts. No questions asked. So therefore, you have to do the R&D, because if you start warrantying portals that weren't put together properly or the meshing's not right in them, you're going to lose your ass. That's a lot of money just to be worn out and giving out free stuff all the time. Right. And so my faith is in GDP. We've had great success with GDP over the years. Every one of our cars, every UTV we own is on GDP portals, every one of them. And so it's like, I'm going to stick with something I know. I'm going to stick with something that's proven.
Did I see your lawnmower on portals?
Yeah, and it really is awesome. It's like, it articulates really well, but the deck doesn't ride right. So, but it looks cool.
It does.
But for us, we're going to stick with what we know. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm giving my call out once again to Highlifter. If you guys want to have a conversation with us so we can run portals toe to toe and give honest feedback, we're more than happy to do that. But we have failed to be able to do this over the years, and we've tried multiple times. But for those who are going to reach out and ask to us, we're going to talk about what we know, we're going to talk about what works, and we're going to talk about what we've had success with, because that's what Slick Rock does. We're not going to talk shit about another company. We don't have anything to talk about with that other company. We would like to have some of that information. We'd like to be able to portray that to the public and to our followers out there. But the fact that it hasn't happened is really hard. And so when you guys ask us which one we're going to run and which one's better, we're going to run GDP because we know, everything about that company. We know the R&D that goes into it. We know the materials that go into it. And we know that these guys are really, really dedicated because they lifetime warranty their parts. So we are going to stay down that path unless something else comes up. And as far as I can tell with our history, it's not going to come up. So we'll see how it goes. But if you guys have any questions, reach out to us, and thanks for following.
So I guess we're done.